If you're looking for a solo build that can absolutely delete enemies in seconds while still shrugging off most open world files, then buckle up. Because this build right here, it's everything you want from a power DPS setup. Huge burst damage, solid sustain, and the mobility of a caffeinated kangaroo. I'm Summer and this is the Power Vindicator, a build that hits like a truck, heals through the pain and looks damn good doing it. And hey, if you want something tankier for soloing legendary bounties or extreme content, check out my Celestial Vindicator build link below. But today, we are focusing on speed, power and explosions. As always, special shout out to all my dear supporters that help me keep the lights on. Alright, now let's jump straight in. Your setup here is straightforward, but still flexible. For armor, you want to go full Cavalier's armor, but you can also go full Berserker. It doesn't really matter, you just want to get some toughness here, and you will barely lose any damage because of that. For rune, I would go with Superior Rune of the Fireworks, because that gives you 25% boon duration, so you can actually keep up your might, your quickness, all that good stuff longer. If you don't want that, you can go for any power-based rune, of course, as well. I just think the boon duration helps a lot on this specific build. For trinkets, go full Demolisher if you can. This gives you just enough precision to hit almost 100% crit chance. If you cannot afford it or want a cheaper route, Marauder pieces or exotic versions are also fine too. Link to the exact setup is in the description down below for exotic and ascended. The main rule, keep your crit chance exactly at 50%, which becomes 100% with Fury. For the weapons, go with Greatsword and Sword, the most aggressive combo for solo play. For the stats of the weapons, you would go with Berserker stats. If you can afford infusions, you would have a very specific setup. You would have 8 precise infusion and the rest power. Of course, this is not necessary. Use Superior Sigil of Celerity on your Greatsword for that sweet quickness uptime, and a Superior Sigil of Accuracy and Strength on your swords for more crit chance and might stacking. Of course, Accuracy on the Greatsword too. For the relic, the best in slot relic is Relic of Sakuros. This one gives you lifesteal on crits while you have Fury, which perfectly synergizes with the build. If you don't have access to it yet, use Relic of the Thief for just more power damage. Just remember, more sustain means less crying, and with Thief Relic you lose a little bit of sustain. Again here, at the end of the gear section, I want to mention that this is just my setup. It's not important that you follow every single gear piece exactly like that. The only important part here is to reach exactly 50% crit rate, get as much damage as possible, and as much tankiness as you need. I like to go for Cavalier mix like I just mentioned, and Demolisher to get some toughness, but you can easily go for Marauder for anything that gives you vitality, power, and enough precision to reach 50% crit rate. If you want to have the exact setup, check out the link in the description down below for the Ascended version, and if you're only playing with exotic gear, not a big problem. Link to an exotic version is also down below. Let's talk about the snacks now. For food, use peppercorn crusted sweet sticks. It's the best for power builds, giving you extra power and ferocity while also giving you 10% damage reduction. If you're broke or don't have access to ascended food yet, use bowls of sweet and spicy butternut squash soup, which is the budget option. It's still quite expensive. For utility, superior sharpening stones, there is no contest. And if you're farming trash mobs, Dragon's Breath buns are actually insane. They give you 200 power for 30 seconds after a kill, and that buff is upkeepable almost 100% of the time. It's really good and very cheap. As usual, if you like this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. But now, back to the video. The build runs Invocation, Devastation and Vindicator. Invocation gives you Fury access on Legend Swap, energy refund on stun breaks, and of course more damage while you're above a certain health threshold. And the core of the build, of course, Rising Tide and Rolling Mist, especially Rolling Mist. Rolling Mist gives you 25% crit chance with Fury on top of the normal 25. That's why we only need 50% base crit. And you get some lifesteal on top of that. Then of course we have Devastation. This one's all about damage and lifesteal. More damage versus vulnerable foes, more damage against foes based on the enemy health. If you want to be unkillable but do way less damage, take the bottom grades for sustain. So at that point, just run the Celestial version instead, in my opinion. And of course, lastly, we have Vindicator trade line. This is where things get spicy. You get damage bonuses when your endurance isn't full. Energy management from Energy Melt, so you get 25 endurance and energy when using the F2 skill. And of course, Death Drop, your iconic leap dodge that hits like a meteor and also grants you a damage buff. The dodge alone adds huge DPS and makes you feel like a flashy enemy protagonist. You will be running Alliance stance, which is Archemoros and Saint Victor, as well as Shiro. The Alliance stance grants you access to Scavenger's Burst, which is a very nice quickness and fury access skill, which also grants you endurance. It's really overloaded. And then you have, of course, Spear of Archemoros, which is the leech skill for huge burst damage from range, as well as reverse rage. Very important to use that on Greatsword, because then it is a stun break that helps you trigger your quickness from the sigil on Greatsword. And of course does some nice CC for the breakdown. In the Alliance form, you have, in the blue form specifically, you have the Condi Cleanse and some endurance gain and some healing. Tree Song it's called. But you will rarely use it unless you are in trouble. Always try to use your Legend Swap to get the Fury Roaring. In Shiro, you get some more nice damage buff from Impossible Odds. It's really, you keep that one up and that's about it. You can use Riposting Shadows for Stun Break, or you can use Phase Reversal for Gap Closer and the Teleport. So that can be quite nice. But typically keep Impossible Odds active as long as you can and sustain the energy drain, and then you swap to your other legends. So this is how it works. Alright, let's talk about how this thing actually plays. Your general flow looks like this. Start an Alliance stance in the red one with the Greatsword. You always want to swap your legends with your weapons at the same time. You open with the Scavenger's Burst into Reverse Rage, into Greatsword's 2, 3 and 5 skill. And of course try to weave in a dodge for that death drop damage. Then you drop Spear of Archimeras mid burst for massive hit, and then use Energy Melt whenever available to regain endurance and energy. Once your energy is drained, swap to Shiro and Sword and instantly activate Impossible Odds. Then rotate through Sword 2, 4 and 5 and dodge again for another big hit. And you stay and leave Impossible Odds until the energy is drained and your Alliance stance comes back off cooldown. Always swap legends and weapons together to maintain your flow, like I said, and it keeps up your burst windows perfectly synchronized as well. You repeat this loop endlessly, switching to blue stance only if you need healing or cleansing. You can expect around 21 to 22k sustained DPS solo, and that's with real world survivability, not a golem pass. And really nice burst in my opinion. And that's the Power Vindicator. Fast, flashy, and brutally effective for solo open world PvE. It's a bit squishier than the Celestial version, but that's the trade-off. You lose a bit of safety in exchange for melting enemies before they can blink, and also great mobility. If this helps you out, and if you enjoy build content, meta-analysis, or just want to see me continue playing on my new account, be sure to hit subscribe. It really helps the channel. This video was released shortly before the Visions of Eternity expansion was released. So there might be some small balance changes and changes coming after the expansion released. So if you're watching this video after the expansion is already out, you can check out the description where there is a link to my build spreadsheet, and in there I will mention all the changes to this build. I don't expect any, just saying it might be the case. But in general, even if there are changes, I expect this build to be perfectly fine and still working. So don't worry too much, just wanted to mention it here at the end of the video. Huge shout out to all my supporters and Patreon legends. You guys keep the lights on and the Vindicators dodging. Thank you so much for watching.